you know about, but lots of others you didn't even realize you had.
We've set up a listening station where unsuspecting volunteers can test out a new brand of headphones. Of course, these are Brain Games headphones, and they're engineered to show you how your brain instinctually responds to its basic senses. What they don't realize is we are controlling what they hear from behind the set. But what do you think will happen if we mix in some unsavory sounds? Offering up a
And you can
selection
hear
of
me okay?
noises ranging
Audio
from the
quality's
merely
fine?
obnoxious to get me the heck out of here.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't like that. So it sounds like something. Sorry. What Somebody's throwing up.
Stop. Pay attention. If you had to pick one of these people to save your life, who would you pick? You might not be able to tell just by looking at them, but their stories may reveal more.
This is nuts, dude. Explain to me what's going to happen, though.
Take the fun out of it.
Hey, Wally, would you like a little tip before we go?
A tip?
Yep.
Sure. Oh, that kind of tip.
Oh my God, I have to face down?
Oh my God!
Oh, Lord.
Woohoo!
Oh, God.
How fast can our survivors recover their bearings?
Woo! That's a good one.
Yeah, he's not done yet.
Oh, I'm done.
Welcome to Buzz Talk Live, Industry Perspective. Tonight's guest is a writer, TV producer, and a member of both the TV Writers Guild and Directors Guild. Julie Harman Mastronardi has worked across many platforms in TV, from celebrity and entertainment news, character-driven reality, and thought-provoking documentaries. Julie has conducted over 1,800 interviews for television and crafted over 50 hours of documentary programming for network television all over the world. She's a two-time Emmy winner and received 4 Emmy nominations for a documentary series, Blueprint New York City, Coney Island. Occasionally, Julie can be seen on a game show contestant, was the 4th highest winner on NBC The Weakest Link, and missed the $64,000 question, who wants to be a millionaire? Please use that chat and welcome Julie to the show. How you doing, Julie?
Hi.
How
Hi,
are
George.
you?
So nice to see you. Great.
All right. Welcome to Buzz Talk Live.
Thank you.
So where are we tonight? Tell me where are we remoting from?
My husband and I live in Piermont, New York, which is about 15 miles from the George Washington Bridge.
Oh, wow.
Right on the Hudson River. And a tiny little small town with a really creative, artistic vibe to it, which is fantastic for us.
Yeah. I mean, it's those small towns always get that, all the people that create stuff and the artists and all that.
Yep, we're right by
great
Nyack.
little town.
So it's between Nyack and Piermont and Sneeden's Landing. You've got a lot of artists and actors and people that work in the crafts part of television and theater. So it's really a very vibrant community.
Yeah. I tell you, Julie, coming on Buzz Talk Live, I really appreciate you coming on and you have such a rich history of working in the TV business. And
a lot of it.
What's that?
A lot of it.
Yeah.
So.
Yes. You got quite a resume, my dear. So as far as how it all started, can you unpack that for us and maybe take a trip down not too far memory lane?
Yeah. I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, as far as starting from college, and let's start there.
Well, I came from a family of scientists. I have a father who owned a laboratory, who was a
Wow.
metallurgist. I have a brother who's a neurosurgeon, and I have another brother who is an engineer. So lots of quantitative stuff in my world as a child. And I was always more of a dreamer, the more theatrical one of the family. And when I was 14, I was lucky enough to be part of the Miss Teenage America organization, and
Wow.
went to the National Miss Teenage America contest in Fort Worth when I was a freshman in high school.
Wow, that must have been quite an experience.
It was phenomenal, because back then it was a really big deal. 2-hour telecast on a Sunday night right around Thanksgiving on PBS, big deal. And while everybody else was much more excited about being in front of the camera,
Right.
I got hooked on how they put this whole thing together. So that was really my introduction. And from then on, at least I knew what I wanted to do. I didn't know how I was going to get there, but I knew I was exposed to something that I wouldn't have seen in my father's laboratory, that's for sure.
No. TV cameras, not so much.
No.
But as far as coming from, from the family of scientists like that, that's quite of an achievement for your family and
yeah,
just to be around.
My brothers like to say I'm the disappointment because I'm the one who's not a scientist. So.
You're far from a disappointment.
Yeah. Well, it's called the Television Academy of Arts and Sciences.
That's right.
So
there is a science in there, right?
Exactly.
Oh my God. So then you're off to college. You went to Boston University, I believe.
I went to Boston University, which is interesting for a kid from LA because everybody said, "Why didn't you go to USC?" I was accepted both to USC and UCLA.
Wow.
But I wanted to go far away and experience living in a college town like Boston.
Right.
And I just had this feeling that I could do something that was going to be a little bit different if I didn't live in the Hollywood bubble and stay around all those other kids who had parents who were in the business and all that sort of stuff. So I went real far away. And I loved it. I just loved BU. It was fabulous back then.
Yeah, I bet. I mean, that's a big time university. And what did you major in?
I started as a journalism major, and after my freshman year, I switched to broadcasting and film.
Oh, okay.
It became clear that I wasn't going to be a news person, which is what I thought I was going to do. Too much time spent in tiny little markets.
Yeah.
In the middle of Idaho. Breaking stories that and it's not like I didn't want to pay my dues. I just didn't want to live that nomadic kind of an existence.
Sure.
And I'd met a boy, so he was going to be in New York, and I thought, well, I got to figure out a way to get myself to New York then.
Right, exactly. So, as far as going to the university and studying TV, and I guess you kind of had that itch, all along from your high school days.
Yeah, I was on the newspaper in high school. We didn't have a TV station or anything like that. Okay. This is back in the 70s when that wasn't very prevalent. Now every high school has a TV station and a film department and stuff. Not where I went to school. Yeah, so I just, as much as anything else, I really think the experience of living 3,000 miles away from home and really being off. My parents didn't take me to college. They stuck me on a plane with a Foot Locker and said, "See you at Christmas," and that's kind of how they did it.
Really? Wow.
Sure.
Well, yeah. In the 70s, it was a whole different ball game back then.
Totally different.
Oh,
totally different.
Yeah. So, so you're in college, and I'm sure you've ran into people there that you know now.
Yes. I am still good friends with a number of people that I met in college, mostly through the college radio station, which is where I gravitated when I was a freshman. I met a husband there. Wow. I met really good friends, some of whom I'm still in contact with. And I met Seth Berkowitz.
Of course,
who was a guest of yours just a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah. No, Seth is great.
Who was just a great friend, and we stayed friends all these many years.
Yeah, no, I have a picture of you and Seth on a couch, and Seth looks a little different now. Than
he
did
had hair back then.
But what a great guy, and I gotta thank him again. He's been funneling me all all these guests from the coast, and I told him I'm gonna give him a casting agent credit on Buzz Talk Live.
Well, he's a real people person, and he's able to put together a network with people that wouldn't necessarily expect to all know each other, and yet Seth makes anything into a party. So that's why 45. Oh my God, years later.
Well, let's not go there, huh? So wow. So you left college, and now you're thrust into the workforce, and you're trying to find your way and seeing what fits you best. And where did it?
I was very lucky because my first job out of college was working for a very small company that later ended up becoming known as a giant company. It was HBO.
Oh.
And at that point, HBO was on 2 floors in the Time and Life building, had just broken 1 million subscribers, and they were still broadcasting polka competitions live from Pennsylvania.
Oh my God, polka competitions.
Yeah, it was really the crucible, the very formative days of that network in the 70s. And it was amazing to be able to be part of it.
Yeah. I mean, that was a long time ago with a very young company that was still trying to find itself as HBO back then.
Sure.
As yourself coming into the workforce like that out of college, you're not going to be jumping right into wearing a producer hat.
I was in the programming. I was in the programming research department. I was not an administrative assistant, which was very, I felt very fortunate. But I was a number cruncher.
Oh,
and we had an overnight rating system.
You're a scientist.
Right, exactly. Television arts and sciences.
Right.
They had metered households in Texas. And we would see how we were performing in Texas, and they would do 5-minute sweeps.
Wow.
And I sat there with a calculator and added up columns of numbers just interminably for months and months and months. And finally, I got kind of a break with the programming department. And one of the people there noticed that I was kind of funny. And I got to write the programming analysis descriptions of how things had performed, whether they had done well or done poorly. And I, of course, would stick a lot of jokes in there. So that's kind of how I made my bones at HBO.
Oh, okay. One of the great things about this show, Julie, are the chats. And because it's a live show, people, use the chat function. And, we got a couple of chats going on. Seth, of course, is watching.
Of course he is.
Of course he is. And a couple other people. And one that kind of sticks out is... he goes, in 4 years of college and many years since, this is the first time I've ever heard Julie mention she was a beauty pageant contestant.
Well, if that's the first thing you lead with, there's not a lot of place to go.
Yeah.
And I didn't win. I wasn't Miss Teenage America.
Right,
so I didn't have that burden to have to live down. But yeah, I was when I was in high school.
And of course he had a comment on his hair, that.
Yes. He had some then.
Yeah. No, I mean, there's his friend Rocky Graziano. I don't know if you know Rocky.
I've heard about him.
You heard about him.
Not that Rocky Graziano, right? Yeah.
No, not the Rocky Graziano,
Yeah.
Right? So wow, I mean, so you've kind of hop, skipped, and jumped around in and around TV, leading up to your first. What was your first producing role in TV? What?
I was working at a company during the time that I was in New York. My husband at the time was rising through the ranks at ABC, and he got to him great news that he was going to be moved to the coast.
Oh.
And he was going to work he was in the primetime programming department, but when they all moved to California, he got to go with them, which was a big honor for him because he was only like a 26-year-old kid at the time.
Right.
So he was really excited. And I, of course, was crestfallen because I was trying to make a career, and I had been interviewed by this new startup called the Music Channel, that eventually turned into MTV. And I couldn't take the job because my husband's job took precedence and we moved to LA. So it worked out for him. He ended up becoming the chairman of ABC and then the chairman of NBC. So he did the right thing. But that wasn't for me. And I was in LA for a couple of years and hang on. Oh, that's my ice maker. Sorry. I was in LA for a couple. I was like, who's drying their hair?
You need to get that, Julie. I mean, I know, you know, I always welcome drinking on the show.
Ice, so I'm good.
Okay.
I went to work for a small pay-per-view company called On TV in Los Angeles, which was big in LA, but not national.
Sure.
And didn't really care for it. I was tired of being an executive and I really wanted a purely creative role. So I sat next to somebody at a dinner party, a guy named Woody Frazier, who is still producing television shows. He created That's Incredible, and he did all those kinds of shows for the Alan Lansberg productions in the 70s and 80s. Yeah. So I sat next to Woody at a birthday party and I said, "You're an idiot if you don't hire me." He did. So he took me out of the executive office and
so that was your line to get hired.
Yeah, you're an idiot. I mean, you should definitely hire me because
you call the guy an idiot and he hires you. That's beautiful.
I said you would be an idiot and he didn't. So I mean, he hired me, so he's not an idiot. So and I worked for him for about 2 years, and it was a great experience. I worked with people like Steve Allen and Bert Convy and did a lot of these sort of shows.
You know, back then, that was such a rich time to be involved in TV because, you know, those people are legends now. You know, some of them, you know, are legends. Yes. Mm-hmm. Incredible.
So that was great. That was just great. But after that, I worked with Alan Lansberg Productions was the name of the company.
Right.
For about 2 years, and they did That's Incredible. That was their biggest show, probably.
Yeah, I remember that show. Sure.
Yeah.
Sure.
But I had been trying to get clips for a blooper show, that they were doing. And in the process of trying to get clips from KABC in Los Angeles, I was just so persistent with this poor program director, and then went over his head to the general manager trying to get these clips. And the general manager said, "No, you can't have them on the show." But he called my boss at Alan Lansberg Productions, and he said, "There's this girl she's a pain in my butt, but geez, she's really on it. She's very persistent. She's really polite. You got a great gal there." And of course, my boss made the mistake of telling me. So I went back to the programming people at KABC in Los Angeles, and I said, "Well, if I'm so great, why don't you hire me?" So
again with the line.
Yeah. So they did. So I worked at KABC for 2 years as a producer director. That's where I got in the Directors Guild.
Rocky's chiming in here. He says, "Yeah, she looks too young to be talking about those people."
I turned 62 yesterday.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
You look
Stay out of
great.
the sun.
Yeah.
Stay out of the sun.
Yeah.
So.
No. So I mean, you know, doing all this work, I mean, it's led you around the world and you know, doing so many interviews and for Nat Geo. My God, you compiled all this.
I've worked for Lifestyles, The Rich and Famous, and America's Most Wanted, and
that's Seth, right? I mean, I ran a clip.
Yes.
Of Seth.
I directed the bocce ball scene.
Right, I know. He nailed it. By the way, he nailed it.
He did.
You know, from a fellow Italian, I think he nailed that scene.
Yeah,
I think so.
Pretty good.
Yeah, no, he was very good, very good.
Well, we were broke, so it was like, he's got a suit. He'd be perfect. I said low for the performance quality.
That's what he said to me.
It's true.
Oh my God.
It's true.
So yeah, I mean, I have some working pictures of you in action, actually, and on the streets of Manhattan, and just being involved in production on some sets that you were on with working crew, and this is great. I mean, you know, you've really had such a great career in the business, and
I was lucky enough to get in at a time when not everybody had a degree from film school.
Right.
there were very few women who were interested in the technical side. There were a lot of women who were in the performance side, but not many who were interested in the producing and the technical aspect of it.
Yeah. Yeah.
And people, I think, made the assumption that I wanted to be on the performing side because I showed up dressed up and I had on lipstick and stuff. And it was like, no, I'm fine not being on camera. I'm cool with that. I really just like the process of collaboration and building something from nothing and making it turn into something fabulous at the end.
Yeah, I mean, I again with Seth in the chats here, he goes, "I'm the guy they call when they can't afford anybody else." I'll leave that there, Seth. I'll leave that there. Another chat from F. Solicito. Would you ever consider producing a children's series? He went to NYU.
You know, an unfortunate thing is that unless you're Children's Television Workshop or Nick Mulvaney, maybe, children's television is basically a lower paid, less, it's like being a kindergarten teacher versus a college professor. And it's not really fair because when you're producing for kids, you have so much more responsibility to be informative and don't, do things the right way, to instruct and entertain at the same time. And unfortunately, it's not particularly as well compensated. Lots of women start their production careers in children's television because it's a little bit easier to get in. And then they get sort of stuck there and they never, up until in the last 10 years, they don't get to graduate to the big leagues too terribly much. When I was a kid, I didn't really watch much children's television. I watched, I watched adult television. I watched All in the Family. That was my idea of children's television when I was 11 years old. So, I do remember though being totally amazed by Zoom when it first came out. The kids show Zoom because I thought that was so.
Actually, he chimed in. He goes, worked at CTW at 321 Contact. He worked.
Oh,
there.
that was a good show too. Yeah, exactly.
He says it's good. Call me. All right. Well, we'll see. And I'll tell you, I have an image here of Joe Namath and you.
Be still my heart. Well,
Broadway Joe, come on.
Yeah. I had a jersey of his that it wasn't his, but it had 12 on it that I slept in when I was a young, 9, 10, 11-year-old girl.
All right.
And I was
easy
just
easy.
I was just transported. He was the Beatles to me. I just thought he was the coolest.
Yeah.
And
that's, that picture is like, that was when he was still touting, the town and being like a megastar.
He was the host of a show that we did about sex in advertising called And Now a Thrill from Our Sponsor. We picked him because he was tied into television. He would do those Noxzema ads and the pantyhose ads that were always sort of cheeky.
Right.
And when I got the gig to write and direct the show, and they said, "Oh, and by the way, the host is Joe Namath," I just about lost it. So
you had to be on that one.
It was great. And then of course the PS is eventually he married a woman who was younger than I was, shortly after I finished that show. And I was like 26, 27 at the time, maybe I was 30. I don't know. But
so the sex in advertising that led to Emmy awards.
Yeah, we won at the Los Angeles Emmy for Best Entertainment Special. Yeah, we did.
Wow.
It was called And Now a Thrill from Our Sponsor.
Yeah.
Was the name of it.
And there you are with a group of people with Emmys and taking the lectern and giving your acceptance speech.
That's the later one because I've won 2 Emmys within 30 years of each other. So that was pretty. I think I may have a record for the longest span of time.
I had to put them all on one page.
Yeah.
But who's pictured with you? There's you and this other woman that's pictured. I think she has an Emmy too.
Oh, that's TV's Jan Carl, who was the host of Entertainment Tonight for years and years. But that's back when she worked at KABC.
Yes. And the gentleman that you're gesturing the kiss up at the top there.
Oh, he was one of our crew. He was one of our crew on on the more recent show that we did about Coney Island.
The Coney Island one, right? Yeah. Wow, that's great. I mean,
a long stretch. It's a long stretch. I mean, there were a couple of other nominations in between, but you know, it's they say it's an honor to be nominated, and it sounds like baloney. But no, what
is behind the nomination of an Emmy? Like, since you've won 2 of them and nominated for 4, what's the recipe in network TV as far as Emmy awards and achieving to get one? Like,
well, I think it was easier to win one 30 years ago when there was much less competition than there is now. When there is such a plethora of stuff. I mean, you're competing against these huge mega budgets, like HBO has endless amounts of money. Yeah. And then you've got somebody who's doing a podcast that's essentially filmed, and they have just as much chance to compete. And some of those guys win, you know, because I think that they're looking for innovation and that sort of stuff. It was a thrill. My parents were just so proud.
So another chat from Billy Senia. He's an advertising film editor. What are you currently working on now? And has it been for you in the crazy times? And Buzz has asked her the Turning Point is still in. Buzz, I don't know if Turning Point is still in the biz. I guess maybe. I don't know. I don't know what means.
I'm not sure I understand the question. What am I working on right now? Like everybody else, I'm in COVID lockdown.
Yeah, you know? we're not working much.
Yeah. No, I'm getting to be on TV now instead of make TV.
You're on Buzz Talk Live. Come on.
Exactly. Could be a whole new career for me.
And for me too. So now we gotta talk about Brinny Maxwell.
My favorite project I ever did.
When you gave me this clip, I never knew this woman existed.
Woman.
Yeah, well, let's say woman, but I never. I mean, look. When was this produced?
This was produced in 2003 and 2004. So this is before RuPaul.
It's not very old then. That's
a long time ago now. It was before any of the. I mean, the idea was that Brinny was this character who never broke character, and she was a domestic goddess, but was stuck in a very specific time frame, really driven by the props that we had and the costumes that we had collected. Because the actor who plays her has just the most comprehensive collection of vintage clothing and kitchenware and all this kind of stuff. So we created this world that was really authentic. The recipes worked, the crafts were great, and all that kind of stuff. But it was just this little quirky. She was just a delight. She still is.
Yeah. Still is. I have a clip. And I want to run it, and she's hysterical. And she must be a comedian, or
not really. No, I mean she's definitely funny. She's got incredible timing.
Yeah. Oh, that bar none timing.
Yeah. But she doesn't force it. Yeah.
Let's take a look.
All right.
Oh, hello, people. Oh, hello, people. Oh. Hello, people. Hello, people. Hello, people. Hello, people. Hello, people. Hello, people. You know, I think Helen Reddy really said it best. I am woman, hear me roar.
She keeps a Moet Chandon in a pretty cabinet. Anthony cake, she says, just like Marie Antoinette. Building a remedy for Khrushchev and Kennedy. At any time of invitation, you can't decline.
Oh, very cute, Bobcat. Bobcat!
So, Brinny, are you ready for takeoff?
All set. Darn, I missed a stitch. What does this do?
Oh, that's the emergency stop. Don't touch that. That'll shut the system down.
I feel just like Kimberly Wells in China Syndrome. Well, Leroy, look at this. This is wonderful. I see you're actually making a tiki.
Yes, I sure am.
Well, you have quite an impressive log here, Leroy.
Well.
Isn't that fun?
A traveling player like Rip needs personalizers that are portable and packable.
No! Oh, no! Brady!
Mr. Star!
No! This was a box office.
Let me give you a little tour.
This is how I bless everything, okay?
I love it.
Okay? Let's see what happens.
That's
there's
marvelous.
another.
You love. All right. Now, it's circular like this.
Beautiful. Beautiful.
Okay. And you have to build up a rhythm.
That was great. There you go. Beautiful.
I feel just like Sylvester Stallone.
Caviar and cigarettes, well versed in etiquette, extraordinarily nice.
Your book deals frankly with the issue of, well, sex in the workplace. Is office romance making a return?
Brini, I don't think office romance ever went away.
We're going to work on the tricep areas.
Do they call them guns in the Navy?
They sure do. They would call these 20-inch guns.
Oh, well, that's lovely.
Excellent, Brini.
Well, thank you. Ooh, bang, bang. Now, chocolate is traditionally a gift for people in love. Does chocolate have an aphrodisiac quality?
Well, it definitely does. Anything that you do, you feel like you're doing it better.
She's a killer queen, gunpowder agility, dynamite with a laser beam, guaranteed to blow your mind.
We're going to show you how to make a fruit bowl to use as a table centerpiece. We're going to fashion our fruit out of sewing trims and styrofoam forms. So why not make a packable, portable pillow? Now, you know, these also make pretty personal, practical gifts for a pal's patio. All right, now that we've melted up our wax, we need to go commune with the earth. Something that is at once vast and minuscule. All right, here it is. Isn't it wonderful? Now, if you think this project will be difficult, you're wrong.
You can turn the world on with a smile. You can take a nothing day, suddenly make it all seem worthwhile. When it's too good, you should know it. Each glance and every little movement is showing. Love is all around, don't need to fake it. You can never down, why don't you take it? You're gonna make it after all. You're gonna make it after all. You're gonna make it after all. You're gonna make it after all.
I tell you, it was a little long of a clip, but I had to show the whole thing. It's hysterical. I mean, I want to see. I want to see more of Britney.
Oh well, you can buy her. You can buy the DVDs. They do exist.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, they are available. Ben
She's
Sander,
so
who plays Britney, she's funny. What's great is that he never pushes her. She's just believable. With a, you know, is she believable? You know, there's a certain that goes on, but he's so true to character.
Yeah.
And also kudos to Michael Demerjian, who edited that compilation that you saw.
That was
He's
very well
the most
done.
talented editor I've ever worked with, who's just amazing.
I on Google, I was Googling her too, and there was a clip of her. I was thinking of running that one of like a cabaret singer, and she was just like.
No, she does. She does a Christmas show.
Yeah, the Christmas
yeah.
show. Right.
Yeah.
Oh my God, she's hysterical.
She's incredible.
She's
She
like
really
the
is.
Martha Stewart, like, you know, she had a Martha Stewart look to herself, and you know, but doing that in drag, it's hysterical.
Yeah. No, and he's great to work with. He's a really nice person, and we're still really good friends, which is lovely. It was the best experience I've ever had in television.
So you did this thing for Blueprint, and you were hooked up with. Now, I mean, I think the bulk of your work came from these, documentaries.
Yeah, I mean,
these spots that you did.
Because I was always working as a freelancer, I never really plugged into the episodic television world.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't really my strong suit. That's more of a writer's medium than a director's medium. And to me, I liked the smallness of what you do when you're in cable relative to network television and films. Felt much more collaborative.
Now, there's not much money in documentaries, I hear.
No. That's why I went on game shows to supplement my.
Of course you did.
To supplement my income.
We have to talk about game shows. You might as well talk about them right now. All right. So, game shows. We'll get back to Blueprint, but the most important thing is the game shows. You're on game shows.
Think about what it takes to be a good performer on a game show. You can't be rattled by all of the staging in the studio.
No, definitely not.
It's not going to bother me. You have to be, you have to have a personality, which I think, I've got that.
You nailed that.
but you also need to be able to be calm around all of the technology that's going on and not be distracted by the cameras and the stuff going on.
Right.
And you have to know some stuff too. So, as a girl who didn't really date much in high school, I had accumulated a lot of useless knowledge because I had a set of World Book encyclopedias from when I was in Miss Teenage America. And I would just read
plus you grew up in a household with scientists. So something had to rub off on you. I mean,
yeah, and my mother comes from an extraordinarily large family. She's one of 16 children, so there's lots of life in my house.
Yeah.
So I figured, how do I leverage that? Actually, when I was graduating after the summer between high school and college, my family was one of the first families to do Family Feud because someone we knew knew we had a family of loudmouths and all of us would be counted on to give a performance. So we were the first mother, father, and 3 children to be on Family Feud, and we swept it for a week. So it was crazy. So I had, I went to college with about $4,000 in mad money that paid for all my books and all this other kind of stuff for several years.
Right.
Because we had done that. And once you see how that system works, you go, oh, I could do that again. So if you're good at taking tests, which I was, you're not unnerved by the production around you, which I wasn't, you can stand a pretty good chance of doing pretty well on some of these shows. And so I went on Weakest Link.
Weakest Link. Yeah.
And that's You Are the Weakest Link. Goodbye. That one.
Yeah, right.
Which is actually
that was a British show.
It was a British show. It's coming back with Jane Lynch. She's going to be the new host of it. They just announced it like a week ago. I found out. Wow. But that was a blast, and you just get in the zone. I just knew that I was going to do well.
Yeah.
And then the next year I went on Millionaire, and I was convinced I was going to just nail that, and I just choked.
That's got to be a tough show. I mean, just because you're isolated and it's that's tough. I mean, the spotlight's on you, and who was the host?
Meredith
Reach?
Vieira.
Was it Reach?
No, it was the daytime version, not the
the
nighttime
daytime
version.
Okay.
Yeah, so it was Meredith Vieira. But hey, $32,000 ain't chickens.
So what was the answer? The $64,000. What was?
This was the most common name for a pet. Was what they said in 1986.
Yeah.
This was the most common name for a pet, and it was, I forget, Princess and Buddy and a couple of other ones, and they didn't say whether it was a male or a female pet. I overthought it, and I should have just thought about Bill Clinton and said, "Oh, Buddy," which is what I should have done. I guess it was 94. It was the most popular.
How did you feel after you didn't have the question right? I mean,
I still walked home with $32,000 for a day's work. That wasn't bad. That's more than I usually get paid in a day. And if you're making documentaries, you need an alternative source of income.
Yeah.
So that was sort of my equivalent of being an Uber driver. I went on game shows for a while.
Oh, that's
I still want to
crazy.
go on Jeopardy. That's still my dream.
Jeopardy is, yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
that you got to go on Jeopardy. I
Well,
mean,
now, though,
now
I'm
that you
so
got two under
old.
your belt, I mean, my God.
Yeah, but the problem is you don't have the recall. So you'd be like, you'd ring it and you'd be going,
Yeah,
wait,
yeah,
no,
yeah,
I know
yeah.
this. Don't just wait. I know this. And that's just not the way to play Jeopardy.
No. That's,
Yeah.
maybe at home with the box
Yeah.
version, but
Yeah.
So all right, so Blueprint, these Blueprint what would you call these
Documentaries. I mean, there were before I got to that point in my career, I had done, I had worked for Lifestyles of the Rich and Famous, and I was on the team that started America's Most Wanted, and we caught a bunch of people, which we never expected to do. I joined the show when it jumped from the 5 Fox stations to the national audience, and the first night one of my stories was on, and they catch somebody. It's crazy. It was crazy. I loved that job.
Yeah.
But I did that, and I did a number of different things for ABC, Fame, Fortune, and Romance, that was sort of fluffy, and it was kin to Lifestyles. And then I got a job working for a competitor to A Current Affair called Hard Copy.
Oh, sure.
And I spent 5 years as a tabloid journalist doing hard copy stories.
Wow.
Sometimes I'd go undercover, assume fake identities. I've smuggled a weapon onto
fake
an airplane.
Identities? Really? Wow.
Yep. I wore a hidden camera in a swingers club in New York. I wore a fat suit.
Don't worry, I'm not going to go there.
Oh, well, I know. Well, I was with my crew,
Oh, okay.
But,
in a swingers club.
In a swingers club. Yeah. So I got to do a number of things that were very unfamily friendly. but
well,
I mean,
look, you're a journalist. You're playing that role, and you got to get in there and get the story and expose it on media. So
yeah, and we got people out of jail who were wrongly accused. We had lighthearted things where I chased Bill Clinton all around Washington, trying to give him something back that he had left somewhere. I mean, it was a great show. It made super talented people worked on that show. And I was there for 5 years. It's the longest I ever had at any one job. And I really loved it.
Yeah.
But then it was time to move on. So
before I show the clip, I got to go back to the chat because I think they're just talking amongst themselves over here.
Yeah.
Between Seth and Rocky. But Salcedo is still hoping for hope here about his children's series. He's saying that it's awesome and that you should consider it. Anyway, but I don't know if he's saying that I suck. I don't know, but so Rocky is saying you should ask her about the treatment. I guess Seth made a treatment of a reality show or something like that, and they're talking amongst themselves. And Seth was, I was going to ask you. Oh, maybe
Seth gives me more credit for my memory than I deserve. I'm sure at one point over the course of a 45-year friendship, we've talked about a reality show.
Yeah.
But I've worked in every genre there is. I've done a lot of crime. I've done a lot of reality stuff.
Did you see his He Is the Thing? I think that's what he's talking. Maybe that's what he's talking about.
No, his show's great. His show's great.
Awesome. Awesome.
Yeah. And so professional. And, I know that they're doing it for Bupkis, and it looks totally crafted. Really, really good.
Yeah.
Great performances too.
So let's take a look at the Ellis Island. This is the beginning teaser into the show. So let's take a look at that.
Lofty.
The story of immigration in the United States began in New York Harbor. The Statue of Liberty may be the symbol identified with the experience. But Ellis Island is the place where the immigrants' quest to become an American began.
Ellis Island is recognized as being an important part of not only national history, but a lot of personal stories.
Between 1892 and 1954, more than 12 million people passed through this portal.
It has all aspects of the life cycle, from birth to death
reuniting with family members, going to start your life anew.
It tells a story of moments of hope as well as moments of despair.
Ellis Island serves as a reminder of the spirit of people looking to resettle in a country full of promise.
Ellis Island is about courage. It's about taking a big chance and about transforming the nation.
Ellis Island, I've worked in that space, and it's a difficult space to work in and to get to. The load in on that space is incredibly difficult with all the cavernous hallways and stuff that you got to push through. And so getting a crew, I mean, well, your crew is probably limited as far as, you know, videotaping that segment, but
yeah, there's usually like I might have sent you a picture of us standing outside of I don't know if you've got it of oh no, we're standing in front of the Statue of Liberty, but we're on our way to Ellis Island. You know, we tend to travel pretty light. That was city funded, and those do not have lavish budgets.
Yeah.
So you run lean and mean. And you have to kind of work before the monument opens to the public. So that makes it a little eerie and ghost-like, which actually suits, I think, that kind of story.
Yeah, that main hall that they hold events in now. I've worked in that space, and I've always enjoyed going back there and just checking out the whole facility. And
it's one of my favorite places to go in New York. I like to tell people who are visiting, it's nice to go see the Empire. I mean, to see the Statue of Liberty, but I think Ellis Island's a much more emotionally satisfying visit.
So as far as I have true crime
with Aphrodite Jones. I did some true crime stuff. I did America's Most Wanted for years.
Right.
A lot of crime, and a lot of crime with recreations, where you're actually filming these sort of, they're vignettes. You're not telling the entire story like a narrative film, but you have to figure out a way to depict things and depict the emotion. And you've got very limited budget and very limited time in order to make these things work. And somehow they always do.
So let's talk about reality TV, because you were plugged in with some pitches that you did.
Yes.
and I have three of your favorites here that didn't fly, but you were really hoping that they would, because
one of them did. I think do you have the auction show up there?
Oh, the auction show. Yeah.
The auction show. Yes. We were on History Channel with the auction show.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So I have three clips. The first one is, and I put them all together, is these lawyers that got together and had, I guess it was
it's a family business. In Arizona. Conflict between the father and the son. And they represent an interesting clientele. They're the Law Tigers.
The Law Tigers.
Yep.
And then I have the auctioneer.
That's the one we sold to History Channel. It was called, when we pitched it, it was called The Family Business. And it ended up being called Sold. Yeah.
And then the last one is, it's just like all this craziness that you see on TikTok today, and just people just making these crazy stunts and hurting themselves.
What were they thinking?
What were they thinking? All right, so let's take a look at these pitches.
Okay.
I think I was a pretty good lawyer in my day when I was in the trenches, but I'm probably a better businessman, marketeer. It just comes natural. The aha moment, the epiphany I had was I could do something that I love, motorcycle riding, and interrelate that to what I do as a lawyer. So I put two and two together and I launched the Law Tigers.
The Law Tigers, America's injured lawyers who ride.
When Warren first came up with the Law Tigers idea, I said, oh God, that's the last thing the law needs is like another animal.
practicing law.
My boy loves motorcycles, just like his dad.
I didn't think it was going to be a successful enterprise.
I said, what's your concept? And he says, I'm going to advertise directly to bikers.
This card is as important as his safety gear.
And I'm like, so you're going in to buy a $30,000 Harley, and they're going to have a lawyer's card in the shop? Hey, you better take one of these just in case you're going to get in. And you are going to get in an accident, so you better take one of these lawyer cards. I just thought, it's not going to work, Warren. I was just dead wrong.
Don't come to Law Tigers if you need a divorce, if you're having tax issues, foreclosure issues, or if your wife cheats on you.
We are the foremost motorcycle lawyers across the country. We've developed basically an empire.
Somebody cuts off a motorcyclist. They didn't do it on purpose, but they changed that person's life.
Are we ready for the show, ladies and gentlemen?
He says, you know, he's been half P.T. Barnum, half F. Lee Bailey.
Let's go do it.
That P.T. Barnum is the part that really shines.
Come on.
So my job is promotional items, billboards, TV, which in turn will generate business for us. I oversee everything. I'm making phone calls for our big shoot with the Tigers.
This is not the first commercial we've done, but this is an off-the-chart type of commercial. I'm very, very excited.
I've got great staff, and I give them credit for what they bring to the table. Sometimes I think he asks for more than he probably should, or more than I should deliver, but he understands how much work I do and what it takes.
It must be great to watch it come to life, especially when it turns out so good.
I hate like heck to embellish myself, but it's brilliant. What I was able to pull off. Look at Mom, I'm on top of the world.
$1, $2, $3, $2, $3, $4, $4, $5, $7.5, $7.5, $7.5, thank you, sir. 25 Galileo, 101, thank you, Lord. 150 now, do. Look at the art, 200 now, 50, come on. It's crazy business. It is multifaceted and lightning speed. Who'll give me $1? Yes. Who'll give me $2? Little P.T. Barnum, yeah. 50, 325, 50, 75, 4. A little show, yeah. 95 and 100, 195 and 100. She said no. We don't care about her. The seller gets to share what they've collected. The buyer gets to buy something that they wouldn't have thought they'd have ever gotten. Feels good to own one. 99, 100, 100.
My name is Rick Bryant, and I own a company called Bryant Auction, LLC, and I get to be in the middle.
Did anybody bring a checkbook?
Oh, it's an addiction. I call them auction junkies.
I'm an auctionaholic.
You're here to steal it. My job's to keep you from it. And so now that we know the rules, we just get in there and go.
Sold!
Okay, this is my first world record attempt.
They are the dreamers.
We're here today to try something that's never been done before.
The visionaries.
Sometimes I have my moments where inspiration strikes.
The ones who can't take no for an answer.
I've been called everything from an idiot to a genius.
Mixers of a curious cocktail, spiked with equal parts rigor and recklessness.
It looks like it's just cutting the top like a half inch of the apple.
Testing the limits of their ingenuity.
We want to max it out. My homemade steak saw.
On the proving grounds of the cul-de-sac, the basement rec room, or the local village green.
Now, I present to you Cactus Body Slam.
Not for these souls to toil in obscurity. Instead, their effort is captured for posterity.
Did you see that?
Posted on the internet.
No way you're doing that!
And hashtagged straight into immortality.
Record it! Record it! I'm bleeding so much!
Do not try this ever.
That's just so wrong.
What happens when these superstars of social media are brought together to recreate, under scientifically controlled conditions, the very same stupid stunts that made them famous?
Sorry, Mom.
Venturing beyond mere voyeurism, what were they thinking deploys full forensic deconstruction of these OMG exploits.
Zach, help me now! Help me now!
In-depth analysis of the physical, mechanical, and chemical properties of the trials and errors reveal just how lucky or not these online Einsteins turn out to be.
Some Mint Mentos dropped into a can of Diet Coke. We're adding a microwave to this equation.
When backyard scientists
Oh, shit.
meet YouTube show-offs, only one series dares to ask the obvious question.
I just hurt myself. Bye.
I should have put a disclaimer on that as far as take your children out of the room, but don't get any ideas.
Don't get any ideas, exactly.
Wow.
Do as I say, not as we do, right.
You know, you see these clips on the internet all over the place, and these people doing these crazy things. I mean, my
Yeah,
God.
jackassy stuff. Yep.
Yeah, exactly. Remember that, Jackass?
Yeah. Yep.
Just to get the fame, just to get that 15 minutes, they do near-death experience. You know, I don't know. But the other two, the Law Tigers, what a great idea. I mean, you know, motorcycle enthusiasts.
We just couldn't get a network interested.
Really?
They were a little concerned that the main character, the owner, the dad, was a little old.
Was a what? Was what?
They thought he was, he was a little old. He was in his late 60s,
yeah,
early 70s, and they want somebody who's younger. But the dynamic between him and his son was great.
Yeah.
And the whole cast of characters around there was phenomenal. And they were such nice people. We had a blast working with them.
I mean,
Just a great time.
that's like before what's the guy now? Tiger King or whatever?
Yeah.
That's before Tiger King.
Yeah, exactly.
You know?
No, I mean, they're just a bunch of guys who are lawyers who ride motorcycles, and they decided, we know we can't get insured, so we'll see if we can take cases for all these guys because it's like the guy said, it's not if, it's when you're going to have an accident. So,
And that middle piece with the auctioneer, so that got picked up. So that
got picked up, and that was on History Channel for 14 episodes.
Really? Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
We had what to us we thought were great numbers, and at that point History Channel was flying so high that unless you were getting a 2, which is big for cable TV, they gave us every opportunity to renew us. They did.
Yeah.
They stuck us around everybody that they could.
Really?
Pawn Stars and all that stuff, but we just couldn't break the 2 rating in order to get picked up again. And now you see they got stuff that's on for 8, 9, 10 years that's just, Storage Wars still, really?
Yeah.
How many more times can you
I
go into
I don't get that. I mean,
no.
A lot of the stuff I don't get. I think they ran out of ideas, to be perfectly honest with you.
No, we love doing that show. Plus we were out in the Ozarks, which is was at that time an untapped.
Yeah.
It was an untapped location. People hadn't seen that part of the world. So
yeah, sure.
I got a lot of chigger bites. That wasn't very fun. But other than that.
So back in 2011, I did this convention out in LA, actually with Rocky Graziano, called Reality Rocks. And it was a show, and it was held at the convention center, and it was like the Comic-Con of reality shows. I don't know if you remember that. But they were all there, and they had like these separate rooms where you would go pitch your show to producers and network people, and they would have like, a full array of people just, from different reality shows, signing autographs and being with, their fans and stuff like that. But, the pitch line was so long, and what goes into a pitch? I mean, as far as your first pitch,
you have to have characters. You have to have a definable universe populated by people that you want to come back and see every week.
Right.
And they need to be authentic. I mean, people try to cast characters into reality shows. That's very common now. And as much as I don't admire the show, the Kardashians are a perfect example of you can't make that family up.
No.
You know, and the best reality shows are for real. Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah.
And, you know, in the case with that auction family, they were doing that, whether we were there with a camera or not.
Right.
That was going on. In the Ozarks, you know? And he still got that auction house. He's still doing those auctions just without cameras there.
Yeah.
But so I think that so much of what passes for reality now is so manipulated and so manufactured and so inauthentic that when something that is real comes along, like Tiger King, partly nobody was going anywhere, so they were fascinated by watching it. But secondly, you just, there are characters that just jump out at you that you couldn't make up if you tried.
Yeah.
And then to have a crime involved, I mean, it had all the elements. I wish I had found that crazy group of people.
Yeah, I mean, that's great. Rocky was chiming in about Mark Cuban and Shark Tank, and I mean, that's a reality show.
It is, but it's pretty controlled. I mean, the outcome is legitimate, because I think that they wouldn't be able to continue to brand themselves the way they do if it was all staged. Yeah. But, you know, it was much more rugged in the beginning. The pitches were less professional. The products were a little wackier. You've now got people who are coming to the Sharks that have already done $2 million in business. That's not the same as a woman who shows up with her little cleaning pad that she invented out of nylons and an orange peel, you know, or whatever it may be. So I think as things become successful, they lose some of their charm. But what did Fred Allen say? Imitation is the sincerest form of television.
Right.
I mean,
exactly.
you know, you just continue to do what works.
Next Door Nightmare, is it?
My Next Door Nightmare.
My Next Door Nightmare. I have that clip. Now that was something. Was that in the same time frame of all these?
Yeah, it was like 2013, 14, 15, you know, that sort of thing.
Okay.
My Next Door Nightmare just deals with the whole idea of conflict. You know, it's conflict. It's a conflict show. But people are just, can I say batshit? People are crazy.
It's after 10 o'clock.
They are crazy when they get a hold of a property or a concept, and they're like, proximity breeds contempt somehow. And that was the whole premise of that one. The lengths that people would go to in order to just tick off their neighbor.
Yeah. All right. I have a clip. Let's take a look.
Sure.
This is war. Yeah, yeah, yeah. This is war.
You're trespassing, Bubba.
It can start out as a petty dispute over dog poop and ratchet up into DEFCON 5.
You don't tell me what to do in my house.
You know, that show could be aired right now from what we're going through. What we're going through as a country right now.
Yeah, exactly.
That could, you know, hit all the charts.
Well, you know, they say everything old. You know, these ideas. There's no new ideas. Everything just keeps recycling around again and again and again.
Recycles.
So,
yeah.
You could definitely do that now.
So before we get into, well, I don't know if I should run. You had your backyard redone.
This was great. So part of what happens if you're in television is you have a whole community of people that you work with.
Mm-hmm.
And among them is a casting director that I work with quite a bit, who's just a wonderful, talented guy. And he called up one day and he said, geez, do you know anybody? He said, you live in Piermont. I'm working on this TV show that does backyard makeovers, but they specifically want to be in the town that we live in Piermont. Do you know anybody in Piermont who could use a backyard makeover? And I was like,
who pick me?
Andrew, wait a minute. We just had our house renovated and our backyard is a mess. And so he just said, let's try it. And I said, oh, they're never going to pick us. We're too old, all this kind of stuff. Cause it's Bravo.
Right.
Bravo wants like a certain kind of sassy. And we said, this will never fly. But he said, look, I'll put you in. We'll see what happens. P.S. I've got the most beautiful backyard in all of Rockland County now.
Yeah. It really came out well.
But it takes some doing to get there.
So I got 2 clips. It's a 2-parter, before and after. So let's run the setup of when they first came to your house, I guess, and gave you the scope of the plan.
They first come and they'd given us a scope, and then there was a little bit of a they found out a little bit of a problem.
Right. Okay. Let's take a look.
You're muted.
Sorry. So that was you had some issues back there in that backyard.
We did. And it was scary because we thought, what have we gotten ourselves into? Now we kind of thought we knew what the budget was going to be, and it was just like, oh my God, we don't need this headache. But all's well that ends well.
All right, let's see how it came out.
I'm the luckiest woman, and we use that outdoor shower literally every day in the summer.
Wow. Yeah. No, it came out beautiful. Yeah. I mean, what a great place just to chill out, and it's like a personal little space back there.
No, it's great. It's
have
totally
a little cocktail
great.
And
yeah, exactly. It's really great. We were lucky.
An earlier chat, though, speaking of cocktails, an earlier chat was like, what is she drinking?
Oh,
I don't know what you're drinking.
This is Campari and soda.
Oh, okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So
it is not a Shirley Temple.
Not a Shirley Temple. So you also do some corporate work. Mm-hmm. And, you've done some stuff. I have American Express and some suit manufacturers, some custom suit manufacturers.
The corporate stuff actually pays better than the regular television stuff, as most people would tell you. Mm-hmm. And what I try to do, I think why I end up getting hired for these jobs is that I bring a real television sensibility to it rather than an advertising sensibility. I try to tell stories and make them, with characters that you can identify and a beginning and a middle and an end and that sort of stuff. And that's been a great side hustle for me. And I really enjoy the work.
Yeah. I noticed that the theme and all the clips that we actually ran, it was a concurrent theme throughout, that you're a storyteller and you're pretty damn good at it.
Oh, thank you so much. I've been so lucky to have a career that I love. It's been great.
So I have the Amex spot. Let's take a look. Now, let's set this up. So you made this was this for a corporate show?
It was for a corporate event that American Express was having, and TechServe, which sadly is out of business, which shocks me because they were a staple in New York City for Apple products for 25, 30 years. Yeah. I mean, the first Mac I ever got came from TechServe because there wasn't Mac stores.
Right.
Right. But
sadly, a lot of things are out of business.
I know.
Let's take a look at Amex.
Sure.
TechServe is unlike any other Mac retail store anywhere in the U.S. We have a very different feel, a very different vibe here.
Before there were Apple stores, Apple products were vended through independent retailers, and we're the largest and the oldest of the independents. We've always accepted American Express, and we knew that it was going to be our most popular option from the very beginning.
But the retail is only a part of the story of what TechServe is. We have a very, very large corporate space.
We're always trying to provide convenience and safety and security for our customers. When we work with American Express, we have a single dedicated point of contact we're able to go to and say, can you contact the customer? Can you verify that this is a purchase they've authorized?
Over 60% of our business is now done on American Express. We're serving the Fortune 100 companies all the way down to the small business right across the street.
Reaching small business customers is extremely difficult. But what we're able to do through American Express is make sure that we're finding those customers that we'd like to win.
By working closely with American Express and understanding our demographics, we see the spend patterns for the customers that we have. We know how frequently they shop with us, the size of their purchases. American Express really defines the DNA of our customer. It's complementary information that we couldn't probably buy otherwise. TechServe's been here for 25 years, and we intend to be here for another 25 plus. I am very confident that because of the relationship that we have with American Express, that our business has grown dramatically over the years. And it is amazing what we can do with American Express.
Yeah, sadly.
Yeah,
they're not around.
It's too bad. It's
Yeah.
too bad.
So Seth is saying that Julie and her husband look like such a glamour couple.
You missed us picking weeds earlier today.
Yeah, I was too.
Yeah. Oh, thank you,
that's
Seth.
funny.
Thank you.
Yeah. These next two spots for suit manufacturers, custom suit manufacturers. Was it Lutwich and
Lutwich and Paul Stewart? Yeah, my husband
Paul
used to be the chief marketing officer of Paul Stewart, so he was able to get a really good deal to have these several videos made for Paul Stewart.
And I'll tell you, they're so well shot and lit, and whoever
beautiful.
you had on as your DP did a terrific job.
Yeah, he's a guy who's a second camera. He's a second camera guy, and he wanted his opportunity to be the lead guy, and I was like, go for it. So often I find people who are in junior positions who are ready to step up, and the hierarchy is such that they just don't get the opportunity. And particularly on corporate stuff where the client doesn't have a lot of money, you can give people an opportunity that they might not have otherwise. And he's got something beautiful for his reel. So
yeah, let's take a look at that work.
It can be slightly intimidating, I guess, going to a tailor for the first time. For many years, some custom clothiers have almost been parodies of themselves living in the 1920s or the 1950s. And part of what drove me into tailoring was to address what's relevant today and make that experience more pleasurable and more of an actual engagement. Lutwich has a more relaxing environment, allows us to have a conversation where we can understand who that person is and make sure we project them in the way that they wish to be projected. We make an experience that is elegance for the 21st century. I think there are two factors at play when someone has something made for them, a custom suit. Firstly, that it fits perfectly. And the second thing is that they can clearly have the choice of fabric they want, the styling they want. It's that little flash of lining which just gives them a little inner confidence. When you put on a first suit that fits you properly, and if you're lucky enough to be off the rack, that can be off the rack. You just stand that little bit taller, your shoulders go back, and you get a sense of pride. Britain has the longest tradition of suit making, and the skills that we have and artisans that we have really have wonderful knowledge that we would not be able to find if we just took our brand and moved our production overseas. So authenticity and integrity are really key to us. We tend to meet our customers and actually form a relationship with them. So the Madison Avenue showroom is wonderful for us. People can come up here, they can actually relax here. The light is great. There's a space outside where we can look at the fabrics under sunlight. There aren't many buildings like this in Manhattan. It's a responsibility having your name on the product. For me, the main thing and the key thing is to have the clients looking great. So I personally get more satisfaction out of seeing a client looking sensational than I do out of them showing the label.
Wow. Yeah, Lutwich. Seeing those suits, I want one so bad, but sadly,
My
I just
husband
can't.
lives in those suits. Yeah, my husband lives in clothing like that because he's specializes in really high-end menswear. So
Yeah. Oh, okay.
it's a little daunting for a girl who gets her good clothes at the Gap. So
Yeah. This.
I got to upgrade when I met him, which is really my great
Yeah.
good fortune.
And this other one that I have, the Paul Stewart, shot similar. And again, these suits are just amazingly well put together. And,
My husband is the stylist for all of these. He puts the outfits together. When he shoots catalogs, he does he pulls all the wardrobe. I mean, the client tells him what they want featured, but he puts them together in a particular kind of way. And, it's just like when I go on shoots, he's pulling stuff from our house. He's like, hey, can I have your tortoiseshell comb? Because it'll look really good in a still life with this. He's remarkable and creative, and I'm so lucky.
Yeah.
I'm so lucky.
Let's take a look at Paul Stewart. Wow.
Beautiful stuff. Those really are beautiful spots.
Awesome
Yeah.
suits. I tell you, funny thing, because they're chatting away. I'm laughing, and because at the end of the Buzz Talk Live show, I have credits, and I made up a credit for for clothing, and I just put Jay Gleason on there. Now, nobody knows, it's Jackie Gleason.
Jackie Gleason?
I just made it up, But it's funny because they're chatting and they're saying that I should be wearing one of those suits on Buzz Talk Live, and I can't because it's so hot in here. If I had those suits on,
Yeah, I turned my air conditioning off too.
Yeah, I know.
This is actually a Paul Stewart woman's blouse. So
I'm in an enclosed space here with the door shut because of sound and everything. I as much as I would love to wear those suits, I can't. But
no, my husband's so comfortable to be dressed like that. He hasn't put on a suit in 4.5 months, so I feel like he's going through withdrawal.
Really.
He kind of just goes in and looks at them, and he touches the lapels. And maybe someday he'll have a reason to go back in.
I mean, so he wore a suit he wears a suit every day.
Every day. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. quite dashing.
Did he go to Catholic school by any chance?
No. No. And he was born in Chicago, but he spent his most of his high school years and college in Arizona, where everybody else is wearing a Hang 10 T-shirt and jams.
Right.
And he shows up in a jacket. He's like the ladies' man, as a college. Hello. So.
Oh man.
He's quite swell.
So, I mean, I have a clip here that you did something with a makeup manufacturer. Yeah,
it was interesting. They approached me about whether I wanted to do one of these spots. Mm-hmm. And I'm not even really sure how they found me. I think through a third party who had said, I know this, they were looking for real people. And I'm not a big cosmetic wearer normally. But I said, sure. And they said, well, no, you're going to love this because we actually want you to not wear any makeup really in the commercial or in this spot. And I was like, that's a little interesting. But sure, I figured I'd give it a try. And it's a great company. It's gone on to be tremendously successful. My dream is that when I'm old and I retire, that my husband and I get to be the couple that's in those Norwegian cruise line ads. And we're like, oh yeah, we're cheap. 2 of us in one room. You don't have to, like the money you'll save. Because we're like a legitimate retirement age couple who would love to trot the globe and get paid for it. It would be awesome.
Sure. Who wouldn't? Who wouldn't?
Yeah. So when they approached me, I was like, sure, I'll do it. It was easy because I wasn't having to read copy or anything. They just asked me some questions.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I snipped a little bit of it. Let's take a look at that.
Okay. Julie Harman Mastronardi. I will be 59 next month. What makes a woman beautiful isn't necessarily what you see. What makes a woman beautiful is how others respond to her. How do her friends regard her? How does her family feel about her? When I hear about somebody's attributes and characteristics, that's when they become really beautiful to me, even if the physical is unremarkable. Beauty is intelligence, beauty is strength, beauty is authenticity, and beauty is confidence. That's really beautiful. That's really beautiful. I work in a very youth-oriented business, and I went from being like the cool hot chick to being the older lady, and the opinion gets less important, the contribution becomes less important, and it's 2 steps away till you're Betty White and they think you say cute things because it's like funny to have a sassy old lady, So I just didn't want to go down that path. Changing what I wore, changing how I looked, and taking it down a notch, I reestablished that credibility that I thought was really important to maintain in my work and in my personal life as well.
Wow. That's just how you approached it. I mean, you didn't have any makeup on, and you look beautiful. I mean.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. I mean, I had their moisturizers on and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But it was an all-woman crew, which was a great experience.
Oh wow!
And no, it was interesting to be on the other side of the camera.
Yeah,
it's not,
yeah.
Unless I'm wearing a fat suit to try to get a job, or I'm going into a swingers club, I wasn't really that used to being on camera. So.
No, I mean, look, this is new for me too. Being on this side of the camera, I'm always backstage, but
exactly.
And you know that feeling. I mean, being behind the camera and wrangling people and making them say what you want to say.
Much more control when you're on your side of the camera. Much more control.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Julie, it was so nice for you to join me tonight.
It's been my pleasure.
I really enjoyed this. I really did.
I so admire that you've taken the initiative to try to find a way to use this time that all of us are on pause usefully and in a way that's entertaining and people seem to really like. And that's just great that you're doing it.
Oh, well, thank you so much. I mean, that means a lot. Sammy Sosa, salute to you there.
No, it's great.
That really means a lot because, I always had this I don't know. Actually somebody said you should do this. This guy Larry Bogish that I work with, and he always gave me this thought in my head a long time ago. He said, "Oh, you should do something like this, or a cooking show, because I like to cook, and you like to cook too, don't you?"
I do.
Yeah,
I do. Yeah.
And occasionally I have a cooking show on a Saturday night. Who knows? Maybe you can come on a Saturday night.
Yeah, process shows are a lot of work.
Yeah, yeah. Well, Saturday and then a Sunday night. It's a lot of work for me to put these things together with the content and everything.
Mm-hmm.
And but I don't know. I mean, I like doing it, and it's I can't say it's a passion of mine, but I don't know. It seems to be working out for the time that we're doing it here.
You're making life in an unlikely way right now, in a time when none of us had any idea how do we proceed. Everything shuts down.
Yeah,
and you've managed to go forward, and I think that's admirable.
Yeah, I mean, thank you. It's when it first hit, I'm sitting on the couch, or I'm doing chores around the house, cutting the grass, but it's like yeah. I was in an industry like you, just being a part of a crew and doing what I love, because every day is different, and seeing the end product and being proud of what you did. I missed that in weeks after this thing hit, and I'm like, I'm going crazy. I'm saying, I don't know what to do with myself. So to keep fluid with the technology, I started to do this, and it's. I can't say it paid off because I'm not getting paid, but I think it's been. I'm getting. I guess I'm getting. Monies in a different way. In a weird sort of way.
Skill set. You're not used to being on the inquiring side of the camera, and you're learning how to be a host, and that's important stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. Well,
so it's great. It's great that you're taking the initiative. So many people just said, "Oh, wake me up in January when this is over," and they're just sitting on the couch watching Tiger King for the 14th time. You're really doing something. So that's great.
Thank you. I really appreciate that.
It's my pleasure.
That's very nice for you to say that. But again, thank you so much for joining me tonight. And
my pleasure.
I would say safe travels, but you're
I'm going upstairs, so that's about it.
Well, safe travels.
Yeah, if I have any more of these, I may need to be careful going up the stairs.
Take it easy now.
Yeah,
take
I will.
It easy, Julie.
I will.
All right.
Pleasure to have met you, George.
All righty. Thank you so much.
Okay.
Okay. Bye. Wow, that Julie is amazing, and
Are we clear?
She is one to be reckoned with. 40 years in the business, doing what she has as far as a resume and producing, and oh my God, I can only wish that I did half of that in my time. So Thursday night, tune back in for a Thursday night road story at 9 p.m. And I don't have a guest lined up at the moment, but I'll dig one up, and we'll have a road story Thursday. So check back then, and thanks again for tuning in tonight, and good night, America.